I reckon I've kept you waiting long enough. Okay, never mind the over 10 years that I've spent listening to this album. I've also spent over 5 hours listening to the 2016 digital deluxe edition of Kill 'Em All. So I'd like to think that I'm very well versed in giving a thorough review of this album. At the end of this video, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about what I thought about the 2016 deluxe edition, because it has a whole bunch of different live albums and live takes and demos of the songs. But for now, I'm going to be jumping into who is Metallica, why are they relevant to 80s music, and then we're going to jump into the individual song, I guess, like take or review of it, and then we'll end off with what is this digital deluxe, maybe why you should give some of it a listen, but whatever, we'll get back to that. First, before we do anything, guys, I need to please remind you to like and subscribe to my channel if this is your first time here, or if you've been watching for a while. We have goals for every 10 subscriber milestones, and we are on 19 subscribers, so literally one person needs to subscribe, just one, and we'll hit that milestone. And on that note, it's very funny how the ideas for videos change on a whim throughout the day. Like, this was supposed to be the first video for 10 subscribers, which is my top 10 music albums, but instead it became Metallica Part 2 just because of time. Anyways, rambling aside, let's jump into it. So, Metallica, who are they? They are James Hetfield on guitar and vocals. We have Lars Ulrich on drums. We've got Kirk Hammett on second guitar, but also lead guitar. And then we have bassist at the time, Cliff Burton, the legendary bassist. We had some other people. You might recognize him. Dave Mustaine. I'll come back to him at some point, that's for damn sure. And then we also had some other people which are now lost to history as like a side note to what essentially is Metallica. These guys came roaring onto the scene, very quickly rose in popularity. They were playing with some big bands at the time on their like first, second, third gig. Whereas metal at the time was very much about hair metal and how I can wear more makeup than you. These guys just came onto the scene and just said, you know what, we drink beer, we're having a good time, we're gonna have a party, and we're just gonna play as fast as humanly possible. And so subsequently we have an absolute killer of an album. Now, Dave Mustaine is credited for a couple of songs here, even though Kirk Hammett was very much prominent almost from the get-go with this band after they kicked out Dave. So let's jump into what is Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All begins with Hit the Lights. It's a very drummy intro. And that's actually relevant to quite a few of these songs. Lars plays a lot of toms on the tom drums, but don't let that phase you, because you'll be hooked almost from the get-go. What I like about this album in general is just how attractive the riffs are. There are so many good quality riffs in this album. The songs on this album have no right to be this good, to be honest. Like, there are many different songs throughout this album where the songs could just end, but it then takes off into another amazing, incredible riff. So, kudos to the songwriters here. Majority of songs is Hetfield, with the odd occasion being Dave Mustaine contributing, and then Lars on drums. I don't necessarily know what he would be doing contributing to guitar. So, Hit the Lights. All I can say is this is riffs aplenty, and if this is your intro to Kill 'Em All, to Metallica in general, you're in for a very good time. We then jump into track 2, The Four Horsemen, and The Four Horsemen is the gallopy song. It's very it's very technical to play from a horse galloping perspective, but I just love it, man. There's really something special about it. Motor Breath, again, goes straight into your riffs. Then we have track 4, Jump in the Fire, which is my favorite song on this album. It's just something like really fun about it. And then we go into track 5, which is Pulling Teeth, Anesthesia. This is a full-on bass solo experience extravaganza, and then later joined in with Lars on the drums. Now, before I continue, this era of Metallica this was their like iconic metal imagery era of Metallica, whereas in their later years, from I'd say the Black Album onwards, that was more of their like introspective, like what is humanity, what is our life kind of period that they've, that's what they've kept with for the remainder of their history. The first couple of albums were very much iconic metal imagery, so all of this is, like about battles and war and like devil and demon imagery, and it was 80s metal at its highest. So Pulling Teeth, not very often that you'd hear on a first debut album an entire track just dedicated to the bass player. But Cliff Burton was an absolute demon, and if you listen to this, you'll absolutely understand why. Next up, we have Whiplash. Also, if Jump in the Fire is my favorite song on this album, Whiplash is probably my most fun experience that I personally feel when I listen to this album. Just simply because, man, it's just so much fun. There's just so many amazing, good quality riffs. Like, the just by virtue of the fact that at so many different points in the song, all you have to do is just shout Whiplash, and then like bang your head furiously because there's this crazy solo. And then another just cool little memory from this is just like Guitar Hero Metallica. You guys remember Guitar Hero? So there was like a whole Metallica game just for Metallica, and I just played Whiplash so many times on that game, just because that game was challenging, man. Like even on hard, I could never play it on hard. I could play most other Guitar Heroes on hard, but medium was where I stayed for this, and it was just like such a sense of accomplishment just playing Whiplash, to be honest. Okay, let's continue. Next up, we have Phantom Lord. So Phantom Lord and No Remorse. I recall that they were maybe like not necessarily the basically you've been listening to killer track after track after track after track, and Phantom Lord and No Remorse, they kind of just like turned it down from maybe 11 to 10. That's what I remember. But I've just re-listened to the album literally twice, and I hear nothing wrong. So maybe my perspective changes depending on my mood. But Phantom Lord and No Remorse, it's embedded in my head that if you've just listened to 11, it's now dialed down to 10. Anyways, that brings us to Seek and Destroy, which is where we left off on part 1 on this album review. And Seek and Destroy was embedded into my consciousness back in the day, just to maybe give you a bit of a refresher, because that was the song that Metallica chose to end off every single live concert. So when I was still new to this band and fresh, I didn't really appreciate Kill 'Em All, because I just heard Seek and Destroy into oblivion. If your knowledge of a band maybe consists of like 3 songs, and all you've heard is 3 songs for like a week, then you don't really want to listen to Seek and Destroy like ever again. But needless to say, it's a damn good song, and it complements this album so well. And then like the album could have ended just there, but no, they threw in one final song, Metal Militia, and it's a great like marching kind of song, which you can hear it with like the marching boots literally that end off this album. But it's just like so unnecessary. You could have finished the entire band with Seek and Destroy, but no, you had to grace us with another just epic, brilliant song in the form of Metal Militia. So thank you, Metallica, for making one killer album. Okay, let's talk about the Digital Deluxe Edition, ladies and gentlemen. So, quite honestly, almost all of it can be skipped. The live concerts are pretty much Cliff Burton, bass player, featuring Metallica, the rest of the musicians, because the bass, if the band has been turned up to 11, the bass has been turned up to 111. It is pretty much just all bass, which is very funny considering the whole metal joke of like nobody can hear the bass player, ha 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 ha. That's like the joke throughout time of a bass player. I would know because I play bass guitar. But yeah, that all the live albums are just the bass player featuring everybody else. That's how loud the bass is for the live albums. There's also on YouTube, it's probably illegally downloaded onto YouTube at the moment, but you can still see it because it's still up, because I checked this morning. The live concert that was thrown in to this bundle. So if you want to see Metallica in their heyday, then the live concert is on YouTube for now. Who knows how long that will be. A couple of interesting things about the Digital Deluxe. So first of all the demo parts of this album. So demo is supposed to be like the raw, unrefined versions. Quite a lot of the songs actually just sound like the normal songs in the album. It's only towards the latter half of the album that you can hear like subtle changes, and I think that's simply just because the vocals are not present. And yes, there's maybe like the occasional unfinished solo or like a different couple of notes every now and again in the riff. But yeah, it's pretty much refined for a unrefined demo. And a couple of funny other things that I'll throw in there about the live version of Metallica back in the day. Like, you know, think about being a massive band with a massive following, and all you really have is one album to your name and maybe a couple of covers that you're good at playing. So it's so funny hearing Metallica like end off their set without necessarily a massive banger. And like without necessarily like a really hardcore following. Like they had a following, but not necessarily a hardcore following that necessarily knew them and knew what they were about. So like they didn't know how to finish their sets, and I just thought that was hilarious. Like all of a sudden on one of their live concerts, like they playing like weird blues riffs, which is so not Metallica, and the other one they busy like trying to get the crowd to like chant their slogan at the time, which was metal up your ass, and like nobody was doing it. so you just hear James, like young James Hetfield in like, you know, in the background being like, come on you guys, we can't hear you, just shout the thing, metal up your ass. So like, yeah, I just found that very funny. I also found it very like weirdly funny, interesting, and also weirdly funny, where on some of the live concerts they were saying, alright guys, we're now gonna play a brand new song for you called off our upcoming album called Ride the Lightning. So like, when, you know, I think of Ride the Lightning as an old song, and for them it was new, you know, and still fresh and still like being like tweaked. So I just think that's just such a cool perspective. And then a final little anecdote that I found really funny about listening to these original live demos is for one of the shows, all of a sudden, like not mid-song, maybe after one of the songs, James just shouts, you know, it's really hard being a musician because, you know, sometimes it just happens that criminals just steal all of your gear. So we just really want to thank Anthrax. Anthrax is another band that I'll be getting to at some stage on this channel, for lending us their gear and allowing us to like rock the show tonight. So yeah, it's just really, really funny to hear all these different young versions of Metallica. So my friends, that is Kill 'Em All with some extra seasoning, I suppose you can say, with all the different extra anecdotes and side tracks and side stories. But by now you've probably seen enough of this channel to know that that's how I roll. And I guess the final thing that we need to do is rate this bad boy. But if you can tell, I think we know exactly where we're gonna put you, huh? So let me just stop this recording and record the screen so you can see just where this bad boy is gonna go and where it rightfully deserves to be. And until then, my friends, I'll just stop here and then do the thing, and then after doing the thing, I'll come back to this clip, which is right now. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'm going into an AI 2-day event with my coach, so I'm going to learn how to be better in the AI world. And when I get home, I will hopefully have enough energy to do the first of the 3-parter series, which is the 10 subscriber special videos, and the first being my top 10 favorite albums of all time. Hopefully I will have the energy to do so. So cross fingers that I have the energy, folks. And until then, like and subscribe. Literally one more person needs to subscribe to this channel, and then we unlock 20 subscribers and the next video. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. Yay, we're growing an audience. I think it's still an audience of the people that I know directly, but I'm very excited to see what happens once you break through that threshold of unknown people, of new people experiencing my craziness for the first time. And hopefully along the way we'll learn more about the business side of things, and we can then unlock your potential and figure out what your passion is, and then we'll get you to build your own little audience based on your passion. And yeah, that's kind of the idea for this channel. Anyways, folks, I need to do some quick little editing. See ya later for the next video. Adios.